Hello, Ascension. I'm Janet Prust. I am currently your senior warden, officer of the church, and lead the vestry. And I am here today during our stewardship campaign to talk about our financial position at Ascension. Through this video, I'm going to be referencing this communications piece that we have out, the stewardship goals and information. That is also linked in the same font article that this video is. You might even want to stop this video, go open that up, because I'm going to be referencing that during my talk. Stewardship. You've heard a lot about it. This is the time of year that we reflect on how we give back to the church, how we give back the gifts that God has given us, either through our time and volunteering, through our talent, sharing our talents and special skills, and also through the financial gifts that we have through our pledges and other types of offerings. So that's going to be the topic of this video. I'm happy to report that we are currently in a very solid position for 2024. I'm hoping through this stewardship campaign, we'll be able to maintain that really strong position, and I'm going to describe what that is. We had in 2024, for the first time in several years, a balanced budget. So what's a balanced budget? It means we have the same enough income to be able to pay all of our bills and not have to tap into other financial resources in order to be able to cover our bills. So we had a balanced budget in 2024. That's our goal for 2025. Well, God does provide. Really, the goal is for us to provide for ourselves, right? And that we have enough pledges and other income sources that we can pay all of our bills and still be able to fund the types of programs and other types of needs for our church and in some cases the community. In 2024, our total income was our budget for our income was $473,520, and 60% of our income comes from pledges. Also plate offerings, and there's it's not everybody pledges, but they still give. So we combine that all together, and that's where that $473,000+ came from. So that's 60%. Where's the other 40%? That's what we refer to as non-pledge income. So if you look at the brochure here, the top pie here, the lighter blue is our pledge income and the darker blue is our non-pledge income. So non-pledge income comes from money we draw from our investments. So we're fortunate to have a pretty large investment account, sort of like an endowment, but not technically an endowment. We have about $1 million in an investment fund through the diocese, what they call their pooled investment fund. So other churches also put money into there, and we have experts, investment experts, managing that for us. So we get about $47,000 off of that big investment that we have. We also are fortunate to receive a grant every year through the Margaret Rivers Foundation for $110,000. We've received that for many years. We're in the third year of our last request cycle. We'll request again in 2025 for another 3 years of that grant. And then money that is generated from events and weddings and renting out our building. There's another small grant. If anybody leaves us a small bequest or memorial, that all goes into that non-pledge income. So that represents that smaller blue piece. In 2025, we're projecting a budget. We updated it since from the time that this was created. It's actually very similar to what we have for 2024. We're projecting a very similar budget with an increase for cost of living for our staff and a slight increase relative to inflation. So both of those things we can't control, but we want to be able to fund and address those two other factors. So we're planning for a budget around $480. It won't be finalized until December after we know what the pledges come in as, but that's really what we're projecting. Another balanced budget and very similar to what we have for 2024. So let's talk about expenses. Where does that money go? By far, our largest expense, representing 60% of our cost, is wages and benefits for our staff. This number was reduced, which was one of the factors that contributed to the ability to have a balanced budget through kind of restructuring of our staffing changes, but it's still by far the biggest segment of what our expenses are. And it's an important segment. We have to have strong, talented staff in order to be able to meet the needs of the church, our own personal spiritual needs, and then also to be able to attract people to come in and be curious about Ascension, visit, and hopefully become a member. So our current staff is Father Jayan at full-time as our lead priest. Rachel Toombs is 30 hours a week as a director of children and youth ministries. Joel Boland, acting director of music, is 24 hours per week. Ruth Meyer is our office administrator at 12 hours a week, and Rob Warmbo is our sexton at 10 to 12 hours a week, depending on how much stuff is going on at church. We also have a contract bookkeeper, Cindy Callender, very important person for us, especially around the money, and she works 10 hours per week as an independent contractor. The next biggest category after wages and benefits is non-program expenses. So if you look at the pie chart again, that's the yellow pie right there, slice. And that's paying the bills. That's the utilities, the insurance, the communications fees, the maintenance costs, the lawn care, the snow removal, all of that stuff. And that's about 26% of our budget. The next pie chart on there, if you look at it, is the small green slice, and that's our program budget. So that's the funding that goes specifically to the music program, the formation program, mission and outreach, parish development, helping people in emergency situations. The slice is small. It's about 6%. We wish it would be bigger, but in order to be able to spend more on programs, we have to have more income, because those first two categories, they're fixed. You have to be able to pay your bills. And then what's left, part of that goes to that program expense. So for 2025, we're projecting it to be pretty much the same as what we have in 2024. Hopefully we'll have enough income to be able to make it, bump it up a little bit, but that's our expectation. Let's talk a little bit about capital campaign. We're in our third and final year of that. We targeted $525,000 to put into a building reserve fund to use for specific preservation and renovation type costs. The good news is we met that $525,000. We're still, if you're still paying on it till the end of the year, please keep doing that. But yeah, we've already been able to spend some of that money. The renovation of the sanctuary a couple summers ago came from that building reserve fund, and also the new carpet that we're seeing, the stove and things like that are from that building reserve fund. So good news is we're done with that capital campaign, although we'll probably be coming back in 2025 for another campaign to hopefully raise money to be able to help us complete the plaza that we've been talking about up in the Man-Waring Lawn, but that's a whole nother video. We're in a really unique and fortunate position that we actually have some reserve funds. So as a result, again, of the generous bequest that we have, it didn't go into the big investment account, but in short-term investment, we have some money in a short-term investment funds that's had also very good return on the investment and with good management. So we have some cushion. It helps us fund our grow initiatives, but there's also some additional money that we're hoping to identify some major mission or outreach type of activity that we can fund in the future. So far, nothing's come to the vestry that has been approved, but the good news is we have a little bit of cushion. But we can't use that cushion to help pay operational expenses, or that cushion goes away and we don't have any additional money. So I really encourage you to be able to consider that for 2025 to pledge the same that you did in 2024, and if you can afford it, bump up a little bit. If you haven't pledged, you just give in the plate. By pledging, it allows us to plan for that, to be able to set the budget based on what we can expect the money to come in. Right now, we kind of guess what might come in the plates. That it's better to be able to have something much more secure that we can depend on. So if you've never pledged before, even if you pledge just a little bit, that really does help us in our budget planning, and it helps overall with the operations of the church and the mission of the church. So I really encourage you to do that. If we don't meet our pledge target, we're going to be forced to tap into some of that bequest money that we had in the past, and we really, really do not want to do that. We're in a unique position at Ascension to be in a strong financial position. Many other churches in the diocese are not like that, and that was confirmed a few weeks ago when we had an audit at ECMN, where they basically were surprised that we are in such a good position. It also is going to help us attract, right, a good permanent rector, that we're in a strong position. So our pledging this year has an effect on all of those types of things. If you'd like to hear more about the finances, I'm happy to talk to you about it. Just reach out. I can go over the balance sheet with you. I can go over the profit and loss statement. You can contact Eric Sorensen, our treasurer. Happy to share any and all information that's available if you have questions about any of that. So again, my request to you is continue to support the church. Pledge what you can, right? If you can bump it up a little bit, that would be great. If you can't, that's okay. But pledge what you can, and let us continue God's mission here with us at Ascension. Thank you very much for your attention.